My name is Mark, and I didn't lose my marriage in a big, dramatic fight. There was no shouting, no slammed doors, no final explosive argument. I lost it quietly, almost silently. The end was just a soft click of a door closing behind me. Looking back, there was a warning sign, a conversation that should have been a massive red flag before we even walked down the aisle. My future in-laws sat me down one evening. It was all very formal, very polite, but the message was crystal clear. They explained that the beautiful house they were helping my fiancé buy, the one that was supposed to be our wedding gift, would never, ever have my name on the paperwork. Not now, not later, not ever. They wanted an ironclad prenuptial agreement. There was no hesitation in their voices, no room for negotiation. At the time, I tried to rationalize it. I told myself it was just business, a practical measure, not a personal attack. They had significant wealth, and of course, they wanted to protect it. It made sense. So, I hired my own lawyer, went through the motions, and made sure my own interests were protected too. On paper, everything was clean, legal, and technically fair. It felt cold, but I convinced myself it was just how wealthy families operated. I thought love could exist outside the lines of a contract. After the wedding, life settled into a comfortable routine. We agreed to split all household expenses, 50-50, the mortgage, the utilities, the groceries, car insurance, everything. My half was more than I was used to spending, but I never complained. I truly believed we were building a future together, a partnership. I'm a welder by trade. It's hard work, demanding work. My schedule is 4 weeks on, 2 weeks off. It's a good living, but it means I'm away from home a lot. Before I met my wife, I lived a very light, nomadic life. I didn't see the point in paying rent on an apartment that would sit empty half the time. So, I lived out of Airbnbs during my work rotations and enjoyed all-inclusive resorts during my time off. I've never been a man who collects a lot of stuff. My most valuable possessions were my truck, my welding gear, a laptop, and some clothes. That was pretty much my entire world in terms of material things. I poured my heart and my labor into turning her house into our home. I spent my time off doing renovations, handling upgrades, and building furniture. I remember when we decided to buy a huge high-end sectional sofa for the living room. I gave her my half of the cost up front, in cash. She wanted to put the whole amount on her credit card to get the reward points. I said, sure, no problem. I trusted her completely. Once the money left my hand, I considered the matter settled. That became our pattern. I'd give her my share, and she would handle the payments. I never thought twice about it. I never felt the need to check up on her. Trust was the foundation of our marriage, or so I thought. Then, the foundation crumbled. I found out she'd been seeing her ex-boyfriend while I was away at work. There was no big confrontation, no screaming match, no tearful denials. A friend who knew them both told me, showed me messages. It was just a cold, hard fact. And for me, that's a line that can't be uncrossed. I don't compete for someone's affection. I don't beg for loyalty. And I absolutely do not forgive cheating. Once trust is shattered, it's gone forever. You can't glue the pieces back together and pretend it's whole. So, when I came home from my last work rotation, I didn't go back to the house. It didn't feel like my home anymore. I booked an Airbnb, a quiet, clean, anonymous space where I could think. I took my time. I didn't act on impulse or anger. I met with a lawyer, got my ducks in a row, and filed for divorce. When my 2 weeks off were over, I went back to my job, back to the 4-week grind, just like any other cycle. I didn't tell anyone what was happening. I just worked. My next scheduled time off was after the new year. Before I even left work, I booked myself a trip to an all-inclusive resort in Mexico, a place to clear my head, to reset. And that's when reality finally seemed to hit her. That's when the financial house of cards she'd built came tumbling down. It turned out, she hadn't been using my 50-50 contributions the way we'd agreed. My half of the mortgage payments wasn't going towards paying down the principal faster. My share of the bills wasn't clearing credit card debt. My money was simply funding a lifestyle we couldn't actually afford. It was paying for expensive dinners, designer clothes, and trips with her friends that I knew nothing about. And now, without my income flowing into her account, she was stuck. She was drowning in the debt she had created. I want to be clear, I didn't cut her off to punish her. I wasn't trying to get revenge. I just stopped participating. The automatic transfers stopped. The shared expenses ended. The partnership was over, and so was my financial contribution to it. There was simply nothing left for me in that marriage. We didn't have kids. We didn't even have a dog, because she had insisted she couldn't handle the responsibility alone while I was away. When I thought about what I was leaving behind, it was almost nothing. A suit I wore once to a wedding. The dress shoes I bought for our own. A few old gym clothes in the bottom of a drawer. Everything else I owned fit into a single suitcase in the back of my truck. And that's when the pressure campaign started. Her family began calling me, leaving angry voicemails. Her friends started sending me messages, accusing me of all sorts of things. The worst part was when my own mother called. She told me I was being too harsh, too cold. She said I was screwing her over and that divorce didn't have to be this brutal. She was worried I was becoming bitter and that it would eat me alive, just like it did with other people she knew. But this isn't bitterness. I'm not angry. I'm not looking to hurt anyone. This is about boundaries. I lived a simple, light life before I got married, and I can live that same life again. I can survive just fine out of a backpack and my truck. What I can't do, what I refuse to do, is stay in a relationship where respect is optional and trust is a one-way street. I refuse to continue financing my own betrayal. I didn't fight for the house. I didn't argue over assets. I didn't demand a single thing from her. I just walked away, clean, silent, with my head held high. So now, in her story, and in the story her friends and family are telling, I'm the villain. I'm the cold-hearted man who abandoned his wife, the guy who just up and left her struggling financially. But the truth is much, much simpler than that. I didn't take anything from her, I just stopped giving. And sometimes, withdrawing your support is all it takes for the truth to finally come to the surface. I didn't destroy our life together, I just stopped propping up the lie. Thanks for listening to my story. If you've been through something similar, or if this resonates with you, let me know in the comments. And if you want to hear more stories about navigating life's tough moments, make sure to subscribe.